This podcast is part of the Listen Frederick Podcast Network. To learn more, visit listenfrederick.com.
What's up, everybody? It's episode 93 of Beers in the Lot. In this one, we were watching the Panthers and Lightning game as we were recording, so we talked about that a little bit. Talked about the Avs, Nazem Kadri, and we finished off joking about equipment routines before playing games. So let's crack those beers. Here we go.
Aaron, what are you drinking?
I've got, coming from New Belgium, Summer Bliss. It's a tropical wheat. It's tasty. I say that about everything.
You're
that isn't an
branching
IPA,
out
though.
recently. Look at you. You're branching out. You're growing
I
wings.
guess. I mean, this isn't an IPA, so
Look at
It's
you.
it's not too much of a
not,
branch for me.
no. But you're branching. Branching.
Speaking of branches, Daniel, do you have a treehouse beer?
No, I don't.
Oh, no.
Sorry,
okay.
I do not. Sorry.
What do
I
you
don't-
have?
I don't mean to disappoint.
Danny's on the payroll for them. I haven't confirmed it yet.
Well, I'm holding out for my my sponsorship.
Okay.
I have by Alpine Beer Company Keen Idea Double IPA, and it's not too bad. What are you drinking tonight, John?
I have a Modelo Especial.
Ooh.
It's summer. We're partying. Cerveza season. It's all good. What about you, Riggs? What are you drinking?
From our friends at Flying Dog, 451 Juicy IPA. 451 as a reference to Fahrenheit 451, the famous Ray Bradbury book. Highly
Nice.
recommend both the book and the beer. This thing says it's 11% ABV. It does not drink like it. It is very smooth.
We're going to have a time.
Yeah, we're about to have a time.
I was trying to think what they had the other night. There was that Bloodline Fruit Punch or something.
Ooh.
So
That was pretty damn good.
during our RV time in Hershey, Brando actually brought some of that, and he brought the Double Dead Rise, which is the Old Bay beer, but it's double the Dead Rise. Anyway, it was definitely
Double the dead.
It was Old Bay, like holy
Ooh.
shit. It was spicy. Like it was a spicy beer. And then
You dip some crab cakes into it.
Oh, I wish.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we should have made some. We could have. We had a full kitchen. And
Yeah,
It
then,
was a luxury RV.
and- that will never die. And then then he had the fruit punch bloodline, which I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it. I don't know about you, John, but I enjoyed it.
I liked it. I was more like kind of impressed with that Double Dead Rise because like I'm kind of one of those people like for anything, oddly enough, if you're going to give me it, like give me it all the way. Don't give me like partial or kind of or halfway. So as soon as we like cracked the bottles, it smelled like I had like one of those Costco sized tubs of Old Bay and we just opened the container
Yes.
and we're just like taking in all the scent. I'm like, this is awesome. Like as soon as we popped it, I was like, this is great. It just like the smell and everything. It was good.
Smelled like a seafood house.
Yeah, it smelled like a
Yeah,
Phillips.
it was
Smelled
really
like a
did.
crab shack.
Yeah. Well, that might have been because of the three dudes that were in the RV playing hockey, staying in an RV.
We stayed in the trailer. We didn't live in the trailer. Like, come on, let's tone it down a little. Like, I'm all for the self-deprecating humor, but come on, like, spare us.
Oh man,
Had some good tilts had some tilts.
Did we?
Had some tilts last night.
tilts were had.
tilts were had. Good or not, who knows? I actually thought that the game between my team and Daniel's team was pretty good.
Yeah, our game was good. It was fast paced.
It was close.
The scoring back and forth. It was a good game.
It went back and forth, but only in the third. Like it was, we jumped out to like 6-1 in the end of the first period, and then we couldn't score until the last 4 minutes of the third. So, it was close. So it was fun.
Yeah,
I like those games.
It was good. Came back, made it a game, and then you guys took over and scored 2 more at the end there.
What was the final?
8 or 9-7.
9-7,
but it was basically 8-7. The ninth one was a weird kind of fluky goal with 15 seconds left.
Was the goalie in net?
He was actually, yes.
Okay.
Valid accounts. Okay. Got a check here.
I'm just making sure.
I didn't hear. I was gonna say I didn't hear of any violations last night. I thought we were in the clear.
Yeah, you'd had to scream at somebody in the parking lot again.
I just had to yell at somebody again.
And you guys, it wasn't a good tilt in terms of close or that sort of thing, but you played.
They just can't figure out that black team.
I think it's poor management. Starts at the top.
It's 2 seasons in a row. Yeah.
Starts at the top.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on over there, but
they may have to launch an investigation. There's some ballyhoo or something going on over there. There's some sort of malarkey. I don't know what. I can't put my finger on it. Full-fledged investigation into it.
You're the top man for the job, so
I agree. Go represent us to the Old Fat Bald Guys Hockey League Player Association.
Yeah,
Johnny, were they missing guys? I don't know who's on the teams. I barely know who's on our team.
They were actually missing one of the stronger skaters. So that would have, and actually we would have been better if the 2 guys that showed up late just would have stayed home. But I've been saying it all season though, and I like everybody, but I'm sick of this, man. I yelled at 2 guys week 1 because I knew we had a billion guys. I'm like, get an alarm clock. This is stupid.
Yeah. There is nothing worse than you're playing your first shifts or whatever in the first period, and then all of a sudden some guy comes out of the locker room and just totally messes up the lines. And you're like, okay, now we got to figure out how to do an odd number of wingers or what, just.
Well, and the worst thing is people look at it from the bench and it's one of those what they see versus what you see. So oh, look, so-and-so's here. And I look over and I look at it like it's Pennywise. The scene from it, he's waving the arm, the extra arm that he just bit off. I'm like, man, it's just horrifying. I don't want to, man, I can't, I don't know. Especially because, what was it? 2 weeks ago, we had everybody there. And actually, we played another team that we probably would have had, I think, a better effort if we got into a flow. But no one got into a flow. And it wasn't like there was penalties or any of that nonsense. It was no one got in a rhythm. It was just so goofy. You
get so many guys, and you end up having to take shorter shifts, which is great for the NHL when guys are, in shape. But for our level, we need a couple of minutes on the ice in order to just get warmed up, and it doesn't work well.
Did you say a couple minutes or a couple periods?
Well, when you're only getting 45 seconds to a minute on the ice at a time, then you need a couple periods. But I mean, I'm talking about a couple minutes in a shift. It doesn't, we're moving so slow that if you're out there for a minute, then you barely have time to get down the ice and back once.
What? How fast?
I'm exaggerating. Holy shit! It's hyperbole.
I just wanted to make sure. I was because part of that I could totally tell you were serious, and then the other half I'm like, wait a second, hold on here. I'm grabbing my desk here. I'm like, hold on.
I don't know whether or not I should be offended by that. That you actually thought I might have been serious. Come on, John.
There's some guys it does take them the full minute to get over down.
You don't want to paint a bad picture for our viewers.
Yeah. No, they can go on the live barn and see the slow motion replay of it all.
It's
No,
not
please
slow
don't.
motion.
Slow motion for me. Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of slow motion, is that what the Panthers are playing in right now?
Well, they're about to be stopped.
They're about to be done, aren't
Stop motion.
They're about to be zero motion.
they? Mhm. Curse of the President's Trophy or something, right?
Or some such.
Nah, you know what I think that is? That is a team who mentally did not adjust.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it.
They couldn't adjust in the Caps. They did just enough to get by. And they're playing against a team now. Oh God, it kills me saying it. Like Tampa looked, I wouldn't say they looked average against Toronto because it's definitely not the case. But in game 7, late in that game, it did not faze me like Tampa looked different than what I saw the last 2 years. And heading into the Florida series, I was like, man, this team gets better every night. They do little things better. They do everything better. And Vasilevsky reclaimed his form. Bob looked great in the series, I think. He was not the issue. It's everybody around him. Barkov, I mean, everyone said he's like, oh, he's the most underrated player in the league, yada yada, for the last couple of years. I'm like, playoff wise, I don't think he's overrated, I think.
Barkov, more like Farkov, right?
Yeah.
No, I told I forget who I was talking to in the lot last night about this series, but I think like Florida is one of these teams where they're like a young playoff team. They don't have a lot of that experience yet. So they just don't know how to turn the switch on. Tampa Bay, obviously, back-to-back cups the last 2 years. Like they have all of the experience.
Yep.
You know, and especially in that core, the Tampa Bay core with Kucherov and Hedman and Stammer and all these guys, Cirelli, like they have all the experience. So, you know, Florida just, once they went down, especially at home, like they start the series at home and they go down 2-0, it's over.
Yeah.
Like they don't have the experience and the mental fortitude to go through that.
Well, especially that game 2 gaff. 5 seconds left, you leave Ross Colton in front.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
And I get like I get kind of the gamble. They saw Kucherov, so they're like, oh, we'll outman him behind the net 2-on-1. And it's like, well, no one had the hindsight to go to the net.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay. And then you're down 2 bagel going to Tampa. And we saw kind of like that. I don't even think it's real what some of the Florida Panthers guys were doing late last night / early this morning. I think that's kind of a BS report, whatever. They were going to see a gentleman's club or whatever it was. I don't know.
Yeah, there's no way that's true.
I was telling Danny, the one guy on the radio was like recanting the story from an inside source. He's like, we know this guy. Like, we know. All right, great. That instantly tells me bogus. The other stat, I loved how they threw out. They're like, yeah, in the last 2 games, they've scored more goals than Florida has in the entire series. I'm like, really? That's shocking. They're up 3-0 in the series for real? Wow, what a stat you just read. Like, come on. Like, that sounds so bogus. Like, get out of here. I mean, whatever. I mean, and also, if it happened, like, whatever. I don't care anymore. Like, Florida, I was super excited when they entered the playoffs. Off my radar. You're done. They're dead to me.
They'll be back next year.
Here's the thing with them, right? Like, they've scored 1 power play goal in.
They're 1 for 29
in 9 games now, right? Like it's
on the power play right now.
They just couldn't get it done there. And then 5v5, I think they actually played pretty well. I haven't looked at the numbers, but I feel like they've played pretty well. Like they're like right now, as this game is about to be a minute left in the third period, like they're out shooting Tampa 48-24. So clearly, you know, there's some chances there and everything. And Vasilevsky's probably playing the best game of this playoffs right now. But you know, they just, I think you're right, John. I think coming out of the regular season into playoffs, they just didn't know, like, okay, it's time to flip that playoff switch because they haven't done it before. So They just, it's going to take them, probably this setback, maybe another couple years of setbacks as it seems to go for a lot of teams, and then, they'll figure it out. But
well, I mean, it's kind of funny. Like there was the one question about Florida. We're like, let's see what happens with Bob. That was a question mark. It had nothing to do with the offense. We thought the defense was going to be okay. 5-on-5 play all season. They were crushing teams left and right. They were the number one team off the rush. And it was like in scoring goals and generating chances. And we were like, oh, it's all Bob. Let's see what happens. And Bob was not the issue. It was everything else. The offense and mentally, they just kind of collapsed a little bit. I wouldn't even say they really started. Yeah. It's just a young team. That's what it is.
I just think like pucks aren't going in for them. Like, it's
that too.
They ran out of puck luck or something. They're just not going in at the wrong time.
The very wrong time.
You go to that streak, whatever it was, that 10 games where they were scoring 5+ goals a game.
Gone.
Like maybe you used all of it up. I don't know.
Yeah.
Statistically, shooting percentages tend to average out at like 9%. So if you're like really hot, you'll regress. And I don't know. Andrew Burnett's face right now says it all. just a wince. Not even like just wincing. Like it almost physically hurts, to watch that team get swept.
It's a completely different season.
Yeah.
The one thing too, I kind of read early on about like maybe mid-season, right around the All-Star break, because Quenneville apparently, from whatever happened, unfortunately with the Chicago Blackhawks thing, the NHL deemed him, not worthy of continuing his coaching tenure with Florida. Andrew Burnett said he didn't change anything from like what Q put in.
Sure.
So that raises a red flag to me now, because I'm not saying he didn't do anything all season, because he was at the helm. I'm sure he had to do stuff. I'm not saying he didn't, but I think some of the tactics and kind of the mantras of how they were going to the ice surface every night, maybe there's something there that Q was able to push, maybe if he was potentially there versus Andrew Burnett, where he's totally green in this situation. It's his first rodeo too in the playoffs as a coach. And especially young team, new coach, that's versus look what's on the other bench. You play John Cooper and our boy Jeff Halpern, like a very seasoned team. John Cooper knows a lot of those players intimately because he either had them in Syracuse or he's been in Tampa for a while. So that's tough. Tough.
Florida's got to get rid of Claude Drew if they want to get back to the playoffs next year.
That's probably a part
of it. Well, that's his streak. He's got that streak going. He makes the playoffs every other year in his whole career. It's every other year that he's been in the playoffs.
All right, Aaron. Well, how would you feel if I told you that Claude Giroux's main purpose for coming down to Florida was to help shore up the power play?
Oof.
Oh.
Yeah, no.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so they also had Jumbo Joe on the squad, and they didn't play him at all in the series until this fourth game that they just got swept out of.
Yeah.
And he's one of these guys that distributes the puck and might have been able to help you out.
He's a big body. He could have done a few things.
When you started going 0-4 against Washington, and then you're going to play Tampa, and you start out 0-4, like maybe, that guy that could pass the puck really well, and it's been in the league forever, like maybe that guy could help you.
And I'm also curious too, did they ask him? Maybe not like give him like, hey, we're not playing you tonight, but was he in the power play meetings? Because he's a guy like I would definitely, look at the players he's played with in the last 10 years. Like, especially when he was in Toronto with Willie Stiles and Matthews and Marner. Like, I'm sure he has no problem chiming in.
And an elite passer like he is, those guys see the game at a level that they know the game so well. That's
Absolutely.
how you have to know the game that well in order to make that kind of a living as a passer and as a puck distributor. So
Absolutely.
yeah, they absolutely should have been utilizing his input on
Something.
power play or on something. Yeah.
And especially a guy like Joe, like no slight against him. He's never been fast. He's just a big boy who's very smart, who thinks he's one of the, kind of like what you said, Aaron, he's very special at what he does and he's very good at what he does.
Right.
Just like get him in the, why didn't they get him in the games? Like when they saw what was happening at home, they dropped 2. Okay, yeah, you dropped the first one. All right, you're playing, defending Stanley Cup champs, Tampa Bay. Like, okay, you dropped the second one, and you're going to their building now. It's time to, like, we got to figure something out. I don't know what other lineup changes Burnett made, but like, I saw Joe Thornton playing tonight, and I was like, well, why now?
Yeah, like, it doesn't make sense.
Right? Yeah. Like, it's like the Cam Talbot thing in Minnesota in the first round with Fleury and everything. It's like, well, why, why in that game put all the pressure on him? He hasn't seen any action, and
it's garbage. I feel bad because I think like you never want to say never, but like I don't see Joe getting another contract. Unfortunately, I think it was his last kick at the can.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he gets one more, maybe, but he didn't even play half the games.
I can't help but think, like, watching him go through the handshake line, he looks like old man River. I mean, he looks like he's too old to be playing. I mean, he's not. I don't think. I think that he does have some life in him, but I'm sorry, John. He just doesn't look like he's able to keep up with this young man's game. I guess I don't know.
Angry. So angry.
Remember, it's not the age; it's the mileage.
It's the mileage.
It's not a mileage.
He shouldn't be playing. He should be in a home. He should he shouldn't be playing. Like, that's the next step.
Oh my god!
Aaron's like, I'm sending them life alerts. They need to be prepared.
They picked up Papa Joe from the home so he could help him on the power play.
Jesus. Am I wrong though? Like he looks really old there.
Yeah, but I think that's part of his. I think that's part of his deal with the.
Yeah, it's part of his allure actually.
The crazy beard.
Got the experience.
Yeah. Like I forget. It's when he was still with San Jose and
him and Burns started growing up.
And Brent Burns was doing it because he did it because he read somewhere about like. Well, he read somewhere about like the pirates would like grow their hair and their beards out weird and to like scare people and shit like that. So he was trying to do it as like an intimidation tactic, or it was like tied to Vikings or like whatever. And like with Joe Thornton, I think it was just to show people like, hey, I am older and more experienced than you, and I'm still beating you.
Doing it.
I'm still like putting pucks in places that you didn't even think I was going to go with it. And my guys are scoring off those plays. Like, I think it was all about that. Like,
and I wouldn't be shocked too, knowing Joe Thornton, especially since you saw some of the stuff he did with the Leafs, like almost as like, oh, Brent's going to grow one. Hey, Brent, I can grow one too, buddy. Haha.
Yeah,
like almost like a joke. And he just kept it. And
right.
It was just like almost like a bit that he just wouldn't let go. So I don't know. Even though he's coming for you now, Aaron, because he's gonna like, oh, Aaron has a beard. Yeah, I'll show you.
If he doesn't get picked up, he's gonna have a lot of free time on his hand. Better watch out.
Joe, you free late July? You want to come and play in a hockey tournament?
He's 42.
I'm 42.
Well, I mean, think about it. The
league's
like
that's young. Shit.
He's in the NHL.
I look younger than he does.
You do.
Actually, yeah.
True.
Yeah.
You have a beard too.
I do have a beard.
No, I just actually looked it up. He's 42, and in 34 games played this year with the Cats, he had 10 points. He had 5 goals, 5 assists. He's not ineffective.
Yeah.
I mean, his time on ice he's only playing like 11 minutes a game. So, I
When
mean,
did he came in the league when he was 18, right? Did he come right in the league?
I think so. Yeah.
that sounds about right. Yeah,
Like
his
Boston.
first season was 97, 98.
Yeah. Weren't
Yeah.
him and Marlowe 1 and 2? If I remember that right.
I don't.
He was the first overall. Yeah, first overall in 97 with
Marlowe.
Boston.
Yeah.
Yep. At 18.
Yep.
Yeah.
1997.
Yep. That's when I was 18.
The math checks out.
Here. I'll read very quickly the top 10 of that NHL draft. You ready?
Here
Joe
we go.
Thornton, Patrick Marlowe, Olli Jokinen, Roberto Luongo, Eric Brewer, Daniel Kakachik, Paul Mara, Sergei Samsonov, Nick Boynton, and Brad Ferentz.
Paul Mara is the only one of that I'd be like, nah, not really interested. But even still, Mara was still, I mean, he's still good, but not
Marian Hossa
not in
went
the same
12.
class. Yeah.
Yeah.
Marian
Hossa-
Hossa in 12.
Also
He
went
went
12.
12.
Wow. Man.
Yeah.
The draft doesn't matter. It's all bullshit.
Bingo.
Yeah, but if you think
Bingo.
it is, but if you look at that draft, the top 5 all panned out pretty damn good.
8
Yeah.
out of the
Top
top
5?
10
Good.
were great. Were great picks, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Penn's got a guy that I don't even think he made the lineup. Robert Domi.
Sounds about right for the Pens. For a
Yeah,
while
around that
there,
time.
anyway.
He played 53 NHL games.
53 more than us.
True.
Yeah, but I don't think he won a Calder, so I beat him. I don't think he won a Calder.
He's never had.
He doesn't have a pick with a Calder.
Trophy.
Yeah, he didn't win a Calder like me. I'm sick of this Edmonton Oilers love. I'm done with it.
Why?
I like McDavid and Draisaitl. The rest of the team can go kick rocks. I'm done with them.
You just want
They're
Calgary to win.
passengers. They're passengers. Yeah, they're not a team. This is crap. That team's full of passengers. They're all just there for the ride. And Lucic slowed up. He should have barreled him. He didn't barrel Mike Smith. He slowed
Never
up.
liked that guy. That Lucic guy. Never liked him.
You know what though? That guy found second life in Calgary.
Yes.
Under
In
the
Calgary,
right.
he's been way better in Calgary, actually. In
And
Boston,
you know who I think of?
it was different, I think.
near the end. In Boston, I think he was great in Boston.
he was a way better player.
No,
Like-
I mean, in particular, when he would get hit cleanly, he would just go off the absolute reservation and just.
Oh yeah.
He was. I
yeah.
hate that. I hated that. I thought
Yeah,
that
But I
was so
think
low.
of
He's matured, right? Like
He has matured. Yes, he's
Right,
way better
right.
in Calgary.
Right. But like that play, no call. Like, come on.
yeah.
Like-
Mike Smith. I
Well,
think
you missed
he
it. John was saying he should have buried him.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
no, he even said I don't think
Yeah,
it was right
Sutter-
after the game, but it was like after the morning skate media availability. He's like, if I had charged him, we both would have been out next game. Because
Yeah.
he
would
would
have
have
murdered him.
he would have really hurt Mike Smith, and he probably would have hurt himself going into the end boards. So, come on. You could see it in the replay. Like, he's clearly trying to hold up. His steal is parallel to the end boards. He's trying to
Exactly.
stop.
Yeah.
He's trying to stop. If his steal was perpendicular to the end boards, he's moving forward and he's trying to at least glide, if not go faster into Mike Smith. So
Yeah.
Right.
he wasn't doing that. Like, whatever.
Even Sutter said something like, could you imagine if he actually charged him?
Right.
Because he's like, what was the call? Oh, charge. Can you imagine? He's like, he even kind of braked. Like,
Yeah.
come
Now,
on.
is it a somewhat reckless play? Is it a dangerous play?
Sure.
Should people think about what they're doing when they're going back to make that play? Yes. And that's why you get penalized for it, but whatever.
I don't, like I said, I don't like all this Edmonton Oiler love.
Well,
it's Draisaitl and McDavid. That team is full of passengers.
So
I don't care what anyone says.
Who's going to go after Nazem Kadri tonight?
Apparently some fans. But see, all right, that's another play. Nazem Kadri didn't do anything.
Yeah, I don't understand what everybody's upset about with that play.
Isn't that what Don Cherry said all along? That Nazem Kadri didn't do anything.
Yeah,
oh my God.
Anyway,
you're full of it. You have like a whiteboard up behind the camera there.
Reasons I don't like this guy.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Aaron has a flow chart tonight for everything we're bringing up. He's dropping a bomb and leaving.
No, for the record, I disagreed with Don Cherry from the get-go on that. Yeah. I thought Kadri was absolutely belonged and should never have gotten the hate that he got from Don Cherry.
What if Nazem Kadri was still on the Leafs?
It's a good question. Maybe they'd be in the second round. They probably wouldn't be, but but if you change anything with that team, it changes from no to maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
good point.
It's just a question, right? Like if they had figured out a way to keep him on the roster, then he's that agitator player that can contribute offensively that I don't really think they have, right? They don't have a Tom Wilson.
Right.
Now, Kadri's not a Tom Wilson. He's more like a Marchand, I guess. But all these type of players can contribute offensively and also make the other team think about them. Yep. Which is, that's a problem. So, what if the Leafs still have him?
Well, and I remember when Colorado got him, it made me think, I'm like, man, Colorado is just going to be horrible to play against because Rantanen takes care of himself. McKinnon throws people around like he's a bear. Landeskog in certain situations is legitimately a menace.
He just snaps.
Lando just a hair trigger.
He'll snap and then he turns into like Bob Probert. Like,
he
just grabs people and starts punching them.
and is like a Swedish NHL player. Like you don't see that.
Yeah, that's not typical.
You don't see that. So
that's why he has
great.
to see.
That's right.
He has to see.
Yeah, and then you kind of look up and down their lineup. They're like they got some guys that can kind of handle themselves and they're fine. And so now you got another guy. So they have like 4 guys in their top 6 that not only are like horrible to play against because they're offensively talented, but also they will get in your grill.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Pieces of the puzzle. That's what they're doing. They're grabbing pieces of the puzzle.
But they got a second hand or a second round issue they've had the last couple of years. I have an odd feeling though I think they're doing their job against St. Louis. So like that, they're going to be fine. I think St. Louis is a team that does like, you kind of have to make sure they're dead.
They're starting to get the injury bug though. The Avs are starting to get, it's that's not as big as Makar obviously, but Gerard plays he does a lot of
stuff for them. Yeah,
a huge role on their blue line, so that could be a problem.
He also has a weird tape job too.
Well, so does Pasternak.
How dare he?
Yeah.
So does Pasternak, and he scores 40 or 50 goals a year. And
pencil him in every year. He's good.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Let them do what they want.
Yeah. They're there for a reason. It's not their tape jobs.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. When the scouts hand in the reports, it's not like, normal tape job, weird tape job.
Yeah. Like pros, good with the puck, good away from the puck. Yeah. Cons, bad tape.
Weird tape job.
Tapes his stick like he has a broken hand. Like, out of here. Not on my team. Gosh.
Oh.
Not on my team.
I'll do that every now and then. I'll look at the way like certain people do their stick, and I just like I cringe because I'm just like
Like
What's
people that
going on
we
over
know,
there?
or like pros?
yes, yeah,
People
people
we
we
know,
know.
absolutely, yeah.
pros too, because I'm like, yeah, pros are frightening too. There are some pros that have frightening tape jobs. Yeah,
Sometimes I'll tell the players I coach, like a lot of times, they'll get like different tape, like it'll be like camo or like
Mhm.
because they're kids, right? Like
Mhm.
it'd be
Yeah.
like camo or like American flag tape or like whatever, flames, like whatever. And I always I always tell them, I'm like, do you guys watch the NHL? Yeah, we do. I'm like,
Any of them have that kind of tape?
yeah, hardo.
what colors tapes do they use?
Yeah,
Black
Oh,
and white.
Just black and white.
Yeah.
Huh. Wonder why that is.
Yeah.
Maybe they know something we don't.
You're trying to
Only-
kill their creativity.
the only thing I change, I will use white or black on the bottom, depending on like the day. It's the only thing I change. Everything else, it's always that white
For
handle.
me, it's
down.
always availability. Whatever I've got, that's what's
Aaron's
going on. I don't give a shit.
White tape, black tape, duct tape.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
duct
Electrical tape.
yeah, electrical tape.
One of the guys in our league said something to somebody at one point. He's like, "Oh, you got that white tape on your stick. I can't see it." I'm like, "Okay, whatever."
I know.
That's absolutely bullshit. You
Yeah.
can't see the white tape on the stick to make a pass. Like, sounds like you just didn't want to pass.
I will say this peripherally. So like when you're stick handling, right? Your head up, but peripherally, you're supposed to be able to see what you're doing, down low. So I actually prefer white tape because
Yes.
of that reason. And I don't know why it doesn't even make sense because the black tape should contrast with the ice better.
But it doesn't contrast with the puck. So
Bingo.
Yep.
Bingo.
Yes.
So like with the black tape on my blade, like it messes me up. Like I get all out of whack. So
Yeah. I agree with you there. That makes perfect sense. Maybe I should be particular about the tape I put on.
I don't think it really
It doesn't really matter at our level too much, I don't
No,
think.
I
But
don't-
it is a personal preference
It's
thing,
like
which
it's
that's a good
it's
reason.
weird.
That's a
Yes.
good reason, though. That is a
Yes.
good reason to have that preference, is because
again,
it probably
like,
does give you something when you're stick handling.
That's just me. That's just me. Like that.
Yeah,
That's like whenever I've had to use black tape on my blade, it messes me up. Like I can't do it. So, and I'm not a good stick handler anyway, so I need every advantage I can get.
Yeah, same.
Aaron, do you use wax on your stick?
No, I don't. I don't use any really crazy stuff. I try to spend as little time as possible maintaining my stick as I can, actually. Because I just don't like that. I don't like doing that. Some people enjoy, like this process of like, I want to tape
I
my
love
stick
it.
before every game and make sure it's it's just not for me. It's just not my thing.
I don't do it every game tape, but I will like check it and make sure the wax is good.
Dude,
I'm like a
it's-
tape and wax every
dude,
time.
it's part of my routine. Like I'll like whenever our game times, like on Sundays now it's at like 7 or 7:10, right? So at like 6 I'll start getting my gear together, and if I have to sharpen my skates, I'll start doing that, and then I'll get my stick and I'll tape it up and put the wax on and everything. It's just part of the routine. It's just to make sure that I've got everything that I need and I don't have to worry about anything once I get in the car. Because if I have to, like, if I forget something and I have to go home to get it, I'm not going back to the rink. I'm just gonna stay home.
That is ridiculous. Eric, that's ridiculous. You live 5 minutes away
I
from
know.
the rink. That is absolutely
I
ridiculous.
know, but like,
5 minutes, and that's with hitting every traffic light, by the way.
Yeah, every light.
But I just don't want to deal with it. Like, so I just make sure that I have everything that I need, and that's all that's for. It's not like superstition. It's not like, oh, put the right side on first. I used to do that, but I don't. It doesn't matter anymore. Like, it's just mostly to make sure that, okay, both elbow pads are in the bag, both gloves, helmet, both skates. Everything's in the bag, and I've done everything in a certain order, so I know that everything's there. And when I show up at the rink, I just, put the tunes on and grab a beer and get dressed.
Yeah, there's no worse feeling than getting there and realizing that you forgot something.
Just as soon as you get to the room, just dump your bag.
Dump it all out. Yeah, that's the way you check. Yeah,
just dump it.
No, that's not the way you check. I'll be honest.
That's why I said
that's such a pet. I have all these weird pet peeves when I'm in the locker room. Like, if you start dumping your stuff out like a 3-year-old on Christmas, like, I got a problem with you. If you're not
a fan of spreaders, huh? The guys just spread out.
No. No. I have a shower bag, and then I have like a tape / accessory bag, which has a lot of stuff that everybody would say is unnecessary, but weird. Anytime anyone needs anything, they ask me because I have it. When I usually stack it to whoever's going to sit next to me. I stack it up next to me almost like a sandbag, preparing for flood. Like, I'm like, this is my space.
Yep.
Don't encroach. It's there for a reason.
Yep.
I'm like, I mean, well, you guys have seen me. I'm like, yeah, kind of OCD.
Yeah, you're a spreader.
Yeah, I'm not a full spreader. I get my area together. Like, I have a space.
I could just imagine you, John. It's so you would come in with a roll of tape and just tape off your area on the bench, so people would know.
If I totally
put lines on the bench and be like, "Don't cross the line,
dude." If I could, I would. And certain people, I'd be like, "You have to get the ticketed number to come in the locker room. If you don't got it, you're not playing tonight. I'll be scratch." Sorry. I got issues.
Issues or not, we still love you, John. Just like we love you, listener. Thanks for your support. Keep it coming. And we'll keep the episodes coming. We're 7 away from 100, so you can expect episode 100 in 7 weeks. You can also expect me to talk about Discord in the outro. And here it is. beersintheLot.com/Discord to jump in and basically get content from us on demand. Like, for real. Jump in there and we'll talk to you. But if we don't catch you there, we'll talk to you next week. See you next Wednesday.